Welcome to the 6th Annual New Jersey Cardiovascular Symposium. Every year, this event has grown, which is a testament to the value that the medical community has placed on it. This year, we will have between 400 to 500 in attendance, which makes it the largest cardiovascular symposium in the state. Cardiology is a fast-moving field, and staying ahead of it is always a challenge. That's why we've invited some of the most prominent thought leaders in the various areas of cardiology to show you the advances that have occurred over the last year.
The New Jersey Cardiovascular Symposium is one of the few symposium I have always enjoyed attending and look forward to attending, not only because of the quality and caliber of the speakers, but also because of the way it is conducted, and also most of us come out with very good information.
So this conference is extremely helpful, and for me, a local conference like this is a real plus.
In interventional, electrophysiology, heart failure, and other areas in cardiology, with major advances in all of these fields. But the greatest evidence of our success is really in the difference we make in the lives of our patients.
October 19th, 2005, I experienced some problems breathing and then went into cardiac failure after I got here to the hospital. And that's when I met Dr. Richard.
As soon as we put her on the table, even before we started, her heart completely stopped. It arrested, she stopped breathing, so she completely went out. Then slowly in time, we were able to bring her completely back to normal function. Her heart started functioning again, and then she walked out of the hospital.
Dr. Richards and the staff worked with me on my diet and reinforcing the fact that I need to exercise more to help bring the levels down, and discuss the changes in lifestyle, which is so important.
The first time I had the symptoms, I was approached by two men who were trying to shake me down for money, and they caused me to have the intense pain in my between my shoulder blades.
Dr. Carlucci was in total shock that he had a heart attack.
The people were putting on their gloves and their lead vests. They were getting ready for to do their procedure. And at first I resisted because I didn't think I was really that seriously ill. And then I didn't sign the consent form. So then finally he said, well, right now you're having a serious heart attack, and if we don't do this procedure, you could die. And those words, no one ever put it in that term, so that really woke me up. And then I signed the consent form, and he started the procedure.
And so we went in, we opened the vessel, he immediately got relief of his chest pain, and he did much better. He's another person that was very, very grateful that he survived his heart attack.
And at about 10 to 7, I went into my bedroom to lay down, and I started to get what I thought maybe was indigestion, but it was kind of a significant amount of pressure in this part of the chest. And so at that point, I realized that I was sweating profusely. I went into the bathroom, looked in the mirror, and I was pale, and I was just drenched with sweat. So
we brought him directly up to the cath lab very quickly. And when we did his initial angiogram, we realized that he had 100% occluded vessel, supplying the majority of his heart.
But he was all during this time, he was reassuring. He said, this is what we're going to do. He explained everything to me. We're going to go in through your leg. There'll be a slight pinch. And of course, the pinch was nothing compared to the actual, they call it pain. I would consider it more pressure.
And we were having a conversation throughout the case, and as soon as we opened the vessels that he needed, his chest pain resolved completely.
I've even created a website with Dr. Richard, associated with his original websites that he had, and explained that, how he cares for the community itself, the underprivileged. I read some of his stuff from an old website that he had, where he's really concerned with getting the message out to people to indigent people who may not be aware of their symptoms.
You know, they tell you to walk and exercise. They don't want you laying around. The truth was I couldn't walk but a block. Dr. Richards spent an hour on the examination, another hour talking to me. Now, the thing about Dr. Richards was, I'm not a medical guy, and what he explained, I didn't understand most of it. But what he did do was he took the time, which most doctors don't do. He took the time to explain to me, and I realized that I trusted him.
He has no blood flow going down to both of his legs. Both of his legs had 100% blockages in them for very long regions, really from the top of his leg all the way down to past his knee. He had zero blood flow. We were able to locate the bypass artery that is now several years old, and we're able to place stents at the beginning and end of the bypass and reopen the blood flow down to his legs. So after we did this, we were able to reestablish flow from all the way above his thigh, all the way down to his ankles.
You know what? It's not only Dr. Richards, it's the whole staff. Good people seem to attract good people.
All right, all I can tell you is what I've been told, because I don't remember that first day at all.
I was in work, had gotten a phone call from my brother, told me something happened to Dad. They didn't know if he had a heart attack. I put down what I was doing and went.
We realized that he has 100% closure of his main artery and then 90% closure of his other arteries. Even with multiple shocks, we were unable to get a blood pressure or a pulse. The only chance he had was to reopen the 100% occluded artery. And after placing the wire through the blockage and placing 2 stents also, his rhythm didn't come back. So I knew that the only way to bring him back was if I was to place more stents and to be able to 100% open that artery.
Doctor wouldn't give up. Dr. Richards wouldn't give up on me.
While he was on the catheterization table, his heart stopped. They shocked him 11 times and opened the arteries and had gotten his heart going again.
He had neither a blood pressure or pulse, and CPR was being performed while I was wiring, ballooning, and stenting. As soon as we were able to reestablish flow in the main artery in his heart, he began to have a blood pressure and regained a pulse. So I'll never forget the image of him being ashen gray sitting at the table, and immediately after opening the artery, having his color come back and his blood pressure and pulse come back.
I remember my children being all around me, and I remember my family, most of all being around me. He treated me as a person, not just as a patient and not just as somebody that he took care of and he's not going to see anymore.
We'd never gotten the care for my father or the patients they had with my large family. It just wound up being as good an experience as can be. And nobody was intimidated by our questions or put off by our questions. Everyone we dealt with was very willing to stand there and talk to us and explain everything from a simple x-ray to the medications he was on and any other test he was having and why he was reacting to certain things the way he was.
I make it a point to make sure that all his and his family's questions are answered in detail, because that is really what constitutes good quality care for these patients.
I'm feeling great, just as good as I did before the heart attack. And before the heart attack, I was able to walk long distances, go up and down the steps, and I do all that again now. I'm 77 now. I'll be 78 in October.
I was very impressed with the quality of care and the expertise of the people, as well as with Dr. Richard.
The nursing staff, Dr. Richard's staff, they were 100%. And in fact, I filled out a questionnaire and hit them with excellent all the way down the line.
I think Dr. Richards saved my life that night.
I'm feeling great, just as good as I did before the heart attack.
I'm walking, what can I say?
As all of you know, there's been a tremendous amount of turmoil in healthcare in the region. Many hospitals have closed, and many others have threatened to close. There's never been a time where it's been more important to deliver quality, high-level cardiac care as now. You're in for an informative and exciting day with hundreds of your colleagues. Thank you all for coming. Let's get started.